Man, One Piece 692. If I am Law, do you know how pissed off I am? Like, oh my God, this is a Luffy, you big dummy moment, dude. Like, are you serious? Like, Luffy, seriously. The plan was to capture Smoker. You just knock him all the way off the island and into the hands of the people coming for him. You just gave him back to Doflamingo. Oh my God, man. See, this is what I'm talking about, man. Like, you can't trust Luffy to handle anything serious. Like, Luffy's the type, you just send him in there. He's like your vanguard. You send him in there and you let him do the heavy fighting, but you don't give him shit important. Oh man, you know Law's kicking himself. Because he even says it himself. He says, I should have known better than to give Caesar to you. Like, he was like, you idiot, we gotta go after him. And this is the thing, right? Like, the moment of surprise is over. The moment of surprise is completely over. Because the word's out. All the people watching everything around the New World, they know Luffy and Law have an alliance. They even say as much. And some of the people look like they're, pretty high up. And, it's just one guy and he's just kind of scratching his chin. And he's got like a helmet over his face. Like, people are watching. People are aware. They can no longer move silently. And this is the thing. If they don't get Caesar, then Luffy has essentially botched the whole plan. He's essentially botched the whole plan. I don't know if you can salvage this, because from the way that it was, making it seem like Caesar was a very important first step in being able to take down whatever emperor they agreed to take down. So this is interesting. This is really, really interesting. Now, the other thing about this is, like, when Smoker and Law are talking to each other, right? When talking, Law's just like, look, in order to get off this island, time is of the essence. We can't be arguing back and forth. This is what they use in order to haul the SAD, the SAD. This is what they use to haul it. This to be able to fit everyone into it. And I like how after, Luffy just knocks, Caesar all the way off, right? I like how after that happens, you get this one moment where Luffy is telling Momonosuke, he's telling him, like, hey, look, I told you. Didn't I say my crew was going to get these kids? Look. And you just see, Nami and Robin, they're running, they got the kids. And, Chopper is, on his way. Nico Robin with her old gloom and doom ass, right? Like, she's all gloomy and shit, ruining the atmosphere. She's just like, yeah, I hope they make it in time. I'm surprised this bitch didn't say, I hope they turn into skulls and bones and shit. She always saying the gloomy shit, man. But I get it. That's part of her gag, if you will. But this is what got me though, right? Is the fact that as this is going on, Momonosuke's father, when he finds out that his son got turned into a dragon, he's freaking out. And this is told to us via the flashbacks. He's freaking out and he's actually running through the gas, and he's run to the point where his body has just been coated. And you can tell Chopper's going to have some type of antidote to bring him back or whatnot. But this is what was interesting about this. Like, when Brook is telling the story, what really got me was the fact that once again, one of the little kids is confiding into an adult. And it just shows you one of the things that Oda is showing us, right? Like, I'd be very interested to find out when Oda had his kids, because he's drawing the reaction of kids very well. Kids look for stability and guidance, right? And they look for adults to guide them. And so you get that moment right there where you just see it. You just see it. And he's like, hey, where's my son? Oh, he got turned into a dragon. Then when he realizes he might have cut him, he's just running through the fog. And that's like another thing. Like, only a parent would be able to capture that desperation, and how, parents will go through anything for their kids. Like, I don't have kids, right? I don't have them. Like, that's one thing that, like, me and my girl, that's one thing we did talk about is, like, hey, when do you see yourself having kids? You know, what kind of parent do you think you would be? How were you raised? Those questions that you ask yourself when you get to a point with somebody and, you know, you can actually see a future with them. And, you know, one of the things I've always said, and I'm gonna get a little personal for you guys, but I mean, you guys are totally used to it though. You know, one of the things that, you know, I said was like, I never had a father growing up. And so for me, like, I'm gonna be there for every little thing. I'm gonna be there for every little thing. I'm gonna be the loudest dude in the bleachers if I have a son and he's on the bench and, you know, he just gets in the game for one play. I'm gonna be the loudest dude in the bleachers. I'm gonna embarrass the kid, right? Like, I'm gonna have signs and everything, right? If I got a little girl and she's doing gymnastics or something, like, I'm gonna be the loudest dude there. Like, you don't even do face paint and shit like that. I'm gonna be doing face painting stuff, right? I'm just gonna be getting into it. But I also, at the same time, I totally understand why, you know, you would want to go through hell and high water for your kids. And that's what you see there. You know, he knows this gas is no big, you know, big anything, but he's like, look, I got to get to my son. My baby's out there. That's interesting. That's interesting. The Oda captures that desperation in just that little bit of panel right there. Like, you know, that's very good. Like, you know, Oda in that instance, that's a good usage of expressive art. Now, the other thing that I thought was pretty okay was, you know, like when Brownbeard, you know, when Luffy's just like, hey, well, Brownbeard's okay, I think. Like, Luffy's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but, you know, it's just for moments like that you just love reading Luffy's character because he's that lovable idiot. But, I mean, it all goes back to, you know, Luffy, you big dummy. You're supposed to capture this dude. Now, what I do want to talk about here is this, I think her name was Baby 5. You know, the chick that is able to weaponize every part of her body, right? Like, you know, she's got a pretty hot design, right? She's got a pretty hot design. And you know me, right? Like, I gotta take this a completely different way, right? Like, first of all, she can weaponize every part of her body. So it's safe to say that's some angry kitty. That's some angry kitty. Man, that pussy got pussy lips that turn into bear traps and claws and daggers and all types of shit. Like, oh man, you better not piss her off, man. That's some angry kitty right there. But I mean, the other thing too, though, right? Like, now even she's got a pretty interesting backstory, right? Like, you find out that Doflamingo, every time she gets involved with somebody, Doflamingo blows him up, and then he blows up their entire town. And, you know, when the Buffalo guy is talking, he's like, look, you know, Buffalo guy can, you know, rotate his body and everything. And, you know, Buffalo's just like, hey, well, you know, you got to understand. You know, he just looks at you like a little sister. It's just like that's taking the overprotective big brother stuff to a whole different level. This dude blew up 8 towns for 8 different dudes that she's gotten involved with. Now, I can't wait to see Sanji and this chick interact, right? I can't wait to see that. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be really interesting. You know, I can see Sanji get on some straight simp white knight shit for her. But, I mean, here's the other thing that's kind of, you know, telling about her. She's a very bad judge of character. You know, she's 98 million berries in a debt. And she takes on another 2 because she has that need to want to feel needed. And I mean, to be fair, right? Like, I don't mean to put, you know, all women in. I don't mean to put all women in a category. Okay, I had to stop and think about that for a second. I don't mean to put all women in a category, but I mean, it ain't just women, it's men too. You know, we have a inherent need to feel wanted, to feel needed, to feel like we mean something to somebody. And, you know, her, you know, she's looking for that need in a way to, like, she wants to feel loved. So, I mean, that's interesting to me. That's interesting that Oda kind of tackle that emotion. And you would think that being around Doflamingo, unless there's more to their relationship that I don't know, and obviously there is because, I mean, we're at volume 70. I mean, Doflamingo, like, we hadn't even seen Doflamingo really. But unless there's more that Oda is withholding, then it makes sense. It makes sense that Doflamingo is keeping her close by. And part of me wonders if Doflamingo isn't blowing it up. Yes, because she's a bad judge of character, because some of those dudes that she fell for look pretty shady. Like, you see the dudes in the background and just this, you know, you just see it, right? Like, you just see it where you got this big weasel looking dude and he's got the cigarette and everything, and like the guys in the background grinning, and it's just like, wait a second, he pulled her? But I mean, it's, you know, it's that thing, you know, closed mouths don't get fed. You know, I see it all the time. Like if I go to a bar and like I'm getting a drink with some friends or shooting some pool or something, and you see this really attractive woman and she's there with some of her friends, or she's, you know, on her own, and you think like, oh, well, maybe she's with somebody. And it'll be the one guy you don't even think has a chance goes up to speak to her, and that's the one who ends up getting her fucking number. It's because closed mouths don't get fed. So I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. Oda kind of went there with it. But, you know, overall, this was a really good chapter. Very fun to read. No chapter question. I'm just more hyped to see where Oda takes this, because there's a huge fallout from this. It's a huge fallout. And I wonder what this does for the Luffy and Law Alliance. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end of the video. Have an awesome day, guys.